All right, so Atlanta had 404 day. It was really a weekend. And I heard a lot of people trying to figure out what does 404 have to do with Atlanta. First, that's our area code in Atlanta. And secondly, we're talking about April the 4th, 1968, where Martin Luther King was assassinated. But over time, it's actually evolved into something different. It wasn't a big event, but now it's getting some funding. And unfortunately, when you get funding like that and you become an event where people come from Alabama, Florida, all these different places to actually see and witness um, the expression of Atlanta's culture through 404, we're talking about old school hip hop. We're talking about all the greatest that you know, Outkast, Big Boy, Andre 3000, um, everyone coming out of Atlanta, and it just goes bad. It was a great event. I'm gonna tell you, because I was down there. I was at another location. I was actually at on the Beltline, and I got down there real early. So the Beltline was phenomenal. Even Piedmont Park was phenomenal. I'm gonna show you some video. Check it out.
I'm out here in Atlanta on the Beltline. That was such a fun way to spend a Saturday. Thanks for spending your Saturday with me. I love you guys. Bye.
PSA from the entire city of Atlanta. 404 weekend celebration is a family reunion for natives of Atlanta. That being said, don't bring y'all from out of state to Atlanta thinking that's sweet. This is not Houston and this is not Miami. Stay the fuck home. We trying to have a good time without the shenanigans and y'all broke friends. So please don't come here thinking you finna finesse it. Cause baby, we finesse the finessers. Thank you.
I mean, this is where we were down there. We were down on the Beltline side, and I mean the Falcons had phenomenal events going on. The food trucks were off the chain on the Beltline. I don't know about so many of the other places, but definitely on the Beltline, it was love. People were in tight spaces. Nobody was fighting. Nobody was tripping out. You were meeting people you hadn't seen in a long time. I mean, we're walking through this Falcons Day event, and you can see right here, fun. We're talking about what? They're down there now. I had to mute this one, okay? But you could all parades. We had Andre Dickens, the mayor of Atlanta, old school Chevelle. I mean, everything that you know the South to be. Remember the South, the '80s, the '90s. Remember that Freaknik without the crazy shenanigans, but with the great old school vehicles, like everything. Just it was just love, man. I loved it. I enjoyed it up to a certain point. Look, and the parade, the marching band, I say Atlanta did a great job. And you can see right here, I really felt what they did was phenomenal. Now, unfortunately, the YNs came out. And it wasn't just the YNs. We're talking about YNs unaccompanied by adults. Because really, when the adults are around, hopefully, I believe they can hold them in place. Oh, man. But it went south real fast. It really did. Now, this took place in Piedmont Park, which, and just to give you a perspective, Piedmont is on the other end. The Beltline runs through the city, hitting different places like Krog Street. And Piedmont had his own event going on. You had a stage there, and people were, performing, and it was love up until a certain point. Up until the YNs, who didn't have their parents around, decided to open up shots, right?
What is happening? Bro, what the just happened? Bro. That's why we can't have nice things.
Atlanta used to be a place of family. People.
And I can tell you, once the shots rung out, I was able to see it was a lot of kids down there without their parents. Just like these teen takeover events started causing all this chaos through all the country. Atlanta had its teen takeover events, but this wasn't a teen takeover event. And I have to kind of spell this out and describe exactly what happened, because I don't want people thinking that 404 Day was not a great event. It was a great event, but it was also sad that people let their kids go out without any supervision, and they ruined the event, causing one young lady to lose her life, multiple people dying, 16 violent acts over the course of the weekend. Now, you like blowing 16 violent acts. I'm not saying 16 violent acts that took place specifically from this event. No, it wasn't that. Because things happened around 404, but not necessarily connected to it. But the shooting at Piedmont, definitely connected to it. The life that was taken, the girl that lost her life, definitely connected to it. And that's the sad portion. That's the sad portion, that we can't just have good things. We can't enjoy ourselves. But I can understand, like, these young kids, they don't understand the history of Atlanta. They don't understand old school music. It was so many people vibing, enjoying old school music. I mean, just some of the rappers, the entertainers, the vibe was so loved up until this point.
Could come together, have some fun, all that. There was a time that people took care of each other, looked out for each other, all that, and it was just a community. And every time black people as a collective try to do that and bring community forth, there's always some ignorant that come fuck the shit up. We still capable of coming together and having a great time, but some of you is not raising y'all kids right. Why is y'all kids out in the middle of Atlanta at nighttime or whatever the fuck, all that shooting? I'm not surprised, but that's a problem that I'm not surprised. Get control of y'all fucking kids, bro. Now we got a kid that's dead that probably ain't got nothing to do with this shit. Or maybe I don't fucking know, but that shit weird to me. Why y'all can't come out the house without your gun, without your tool on y'all? That shit. Why y'all so fucking angry, bro?
I don't know how many times people fail to seem to understand that every time people are gathered up, especially young people, they don't have no regard or no respect for why gatherings are occurring. 404 Day is a day that is supposed to celebrate Pride in Atlanta, Georgia. And it is a day where people gather and display the culture. And that is what y'all wanted to display at Piedmont Park, with multiple scenes of gun violence.
And no shade, but we knew exactly what the was gonna happen at Piedmont Park. Okay, I seen that from 3 miles away, 1 mile. I seen it from 3 miles away. Okay, it's very unfortunate that you can't even just go to the park and enjoy the festivities without these pulling out a damn gun and killing people. But unfortunately, if you're from Atlanta, you knew to stay the fuck away from Piedmont Park.
404 Day.
Yeah, I didn't even go to Piedmont. I stayed on the Beltline. We got down there early and we left out. When we went to hang out in the evening, it was actually a grown folks event. That's the only way you got to do it. And unfortunately, that's the way it is right now. Until they find some way to keep these kids under wrap, like to control what they got going on. And I think, in my personal opinion, they should have stopped every last group of kid that did not have an adult walking with them. Because parents allowed their kids just to go down to the Beltline. Because I saw a bunch of YNs on the Beltline too. Matter of fact, there were 20,000 people on the Atlanta Beltline, which stretches through the city. It was insane. But it was beautiful at the same time. But it was insane. And as I think back now, I'm like, dang. Imagine when those kids opened up down there. Now, I'm always carrying my heat, but who wants to get in a shootout with a 15, 13-year-old on a gun? That's the worst thing that anybody could possibly do. And that's what was happening. A bunch of book bags down in Atlanta, walking the Beltline. And if I know what book bags, what's in your book bag, it's just like what was in the locker when I was growing up in high school. AKs, ARs, yeah, in crazy schools. Crazy. And that's what we're seeing now. And for whatever reason, well, I know the reason. They didn't see it coming. I don't think the police really saw it coming because they only had 35 to 40 officers patrolling that Piedmont Park area. And Piedmont Park is a big, big area. Big, big area.
Piedmont Park, that was wild. When I said it was wild, it was wild. It was wilding out. So it took us like 3 hours to get there and to find a parking spot. Once we find a parking spot, like 30 minutes to walk to the park. Once we got to the park, I was like, this is not for us at all. And the only reason why I even went down there because I have two teenagers, and we used to live in Atlanta, and they wanted to go. So I was like, we're going to go as a family because I'm not going to send them down there by themselves. It's not happening. Not under my watch. And within 45 minutes of me being there, I don't remember seeing a police nor a security. I was like, we got to go. It is time for us to go. And I said it was crowded. It was crowded. It was nothing but pure teenagers. And I'm following up with the whole incident that happened around, at dark. And 8th graders and 9th graders being interviewed. Like, where are their parents? Why are you out there by yourself? I don't get that part right there. Parents are not parenting anymore like they used to. Honestly, these kids got too much damn freedom. Too much.
We're not talking enough about the fact that Hood Anchor Ye interviewed some children after the shooting at Piedmont Park yesterday. And when he asked what grade they were in, they said 8th grade. And then he followed it up by asking if their mothers knew that they were out there, and they said yes. What do you mean there are a bunch of unsupervised middle schoolers in the city by themselves at night? And I'm not lying about this. I'll link the video because I couldn't stitch it for whatever reason. Look, I don't have to be a parent to know that that's not it.
I'm saying, pull up Piedmont Park, that motherfucker loaded. But I ain't seen not one police in sight, so I was kind of scared. I'm like, damn, boy, the only time I ever feel comfortable when I see 12 out there, I ain't gonna lie. There's so many young niggas out there. I'm like, man, hell no, yeah, 12 at no police in sight, fool.
He even felt more comfortable with the police around. 12, that's what they call him. He even felt more. We called him one time, we call him Popo, whatever. But at the end of the day, I don't blame the city of Atlanta. I don't even blame the police department. I don't. I blame the parents. I blame the parents because these are parents that should know better. But the thing that's so different about this, and I appreciate you jumping on and checking out this video. We live in a time, and this is the only time this has happened in history, where our children, they listen to the same music as the adults. Yeah. It's nothing uncommon to see a kid in the seat, in the back seat of a car, and the mom or dad popping Future in the front, and they know every freaking word to the song. Now, did that happen during Elvis's time? No. The adults will complain about Elvis shaking his hips, and the kids and the women will the young kids will go crazy. The young girls will go crazy over Elvis. And they couldn't understand why they were listening to that music. But that's what it's been consistently up until this time period where the adults share the same music as the kids. So they're free. So the adults feel almost in some ways that these kids are grown. Why not let them go? Andre Dickens held a press conference and he was on point with it. Listen, he's going to hold these kids, not just the kids, but the parents accountable because we got a bunch of other events that's going to come down during this summer. And a summer in Atlanta is beautiful and is a great time for all these festivals that happen. But unfortunately, with this one, somebody lost their life. Should they take it away? Should it go? No, I don't think it should ever go. I think it's a great celebration of the culture. Do we need to make some changes? Do we have to put some boundaries and rules in place? Atlanta definitely needs to do that. But one thing I think, which some people don't like, I'm very confident in saying this. I believe that under Andre Dickens, under the current mayor, he's doing a phenomenal job, okay? He couldn't foresee this coming. A lot of them couldn't foresee this coming. But we do know now, whenever they have these events, they need to not just have an overwhelming presence of the police force, in multiple places. Now, I'm going to tell you, you got to look at this fairly because there were some places that wasn't on the roster for 404. But the business owners wanted to celebrate it, and they wanted to celebrate the event. There's no way the cops would have known that they were down there with that. But Piedmont Park, I would say, yeah, I said 100% on the parents. I would say 15 to 20% on police because they had 35 to 40 cops down there, but they should have had a double that amount. Double that amount. Man, it's sad that this happened on the Beltline. It's sad that this happened for this event. But hey, it happened. And our thoughts and prayers are with the young lady's family. I mean, as a girl, she was 15, 16 years old. She went to, I think, Clayton County High School, or she went to high school in Clayton County in Riverdale, which is, if you don't know, that's south of the city. It's sad to hear that happen. She wasn't even in the city, from the city of Atlanta. She was from the suburbs visiting, which most families do, into the city to enjoy the festivities and head home. And her parents lost her. Hey, man. Hey, like, subscribe, follow for more content. Our prayers go out to her family. Phenomenal event. Unfortunately, until we get our situation together, and it's not just Atlanta, we see it in DC, we see it in Virginia, I've seen it in Miami, just different parts of the country. Kids just taking over in these takeover events, just having their way, and no adult supervision, not holding their parents accountable. And that's what we need to start doing. Hey, like, subscribe, follow for more content. I see you guys on the next video.